we can get rolling. So welcome everyone to this case study interview. We got Rich here. He's 90 days in to the Kinetic method, a little bit more, and he's going to share a little bit about his success and everything he's done so far. Rich, welcome. Good to have you on.
Thanks, Mauro. Good to be here.
Definitely. Before we dive into some Q&A, we can kick things off with giving us a little bit more background from you, like your age, age, height, your schedule, your lifestyle, so that people really understand what it takes also lifestyle-wise to make this happen and get full context on this.
Sure. I'm 47. I am 6'1". I own a catering and events business in Chicago, Illinois. And I was about at least 50 to 60 pounds overweight for the past 20 years of my life before I started.
Mm-hmm. And
what am I missing?
No, that's good. That's already good. Local business owner, you're always on the go. You're right now in the car. So it's not that
Right.
Fitness is your lifestyle and you can just live at the gym and, do 2 hours of cardio a day. You said you were 50 or 60 pounds overweight before you started this. Like, what do you feel were some of the things that you were struggling with that extra weight?
I think the big problem with me is I just never tracked anything that I was eating. So I would just eat a meal for breakfast, then I would have lunch, and then I would have a snack, and then I would have dinner, and then have more snacks. So I would guesstimate that if I was using my MyFitnessPal before, I would say my average daily caloric intake was at least close to 3,000. So I was probably 2,500 to 3,000 calories daily every single day, which is, an excessive amount. So I was like at maximum possible, weight load, payload, if you will. And just learning how to track my calories and understanding what a 500 or 600 calorie meal looks like. You do that 50 times, you're like, okay, eat this and you'll be fine. You come in under budget. It's the same as running a business. I can't expect, my managers to run a good labor or food cost if they can't see what they're doing. So I really I was flying blind before. Now I have some tools to be able to at least track what I'm consuming. And that is a fundamental paradigm shift for me.
Mm-hmm.
Seems pretty basic. Seems like I should have done this years ago, but I just didn't have this basic tool. Like my fitness app is really helpful for doing that, and I use it religiously.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And did you try some diets or programs before this?
Yeah, I was on keto, I think twice, and I had success. But then, like the second you go off of it, or the month after you go off of it, it all comes back because you're again not tracking what you're eating, and I actually have I can show I went down 20 pounds and then put it straight back on. Twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think once in 2017 and once in 2020. And I would work out. I would swim pretty often, which would give me a voracious appetite, and I would eat, and then I wouldn't track what I was eating. So, I would just be at this constant overweight weight, and with no progress being made.
And I think just before we started this call, you also said with keto, if you had a piece of bread, then you just blow up like a balloon and here that's not the case. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, right. Like, for example, it's not even bread, because bread is absolutely verboten on keto. But like, let's say you want to have a peach or an apple or an orange. Well, that takes you straight out of ketosis, screws up everything, and you got to start over from square one and spend 3 days getting back into ketosis, whereby the kinetic method is just eat the right foods at the right amount daily, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it might take you 3 months, 6 months to start seeing some good results, but you'll see them if you keep up the good habits. And the habit changes alone, which I've established on the kinetic method system, have been great. And they're the kind of habits I can keep for life. I was very skeptical when I first was introduced to you, Mauro. I didn't know you from a bar of soap. Some strange dude with abs on the internet approaches me. I don't know if you were like what your angle was, but the reality is your system, there's no smoke and mirrors. It's hard work, but it's the right kind of hard work that I think folks that are ready to take on the responsibility of being in shape can adopt and say, okay, no more bullshit. I'm going to do this. This is going to be tough, but it's actually not that tough. Once you start understanding the science of how it all works, you don't want to have an ice cream cone for dessert. You're not interested in a cheeseburger with French fries. It's just bad. It's just a waste of calories. Like, why would I eat that when it's not going to do anything good for me? And I'm putting in all these steps and I'm working out, 3 times a week. Why would I waste it on crappy food, on junk food? So I think that's I think that's a key component, is understanding the science of it.
Definitely. Yeah, once you understand the why, the what and the
Right.
how becomes a lot easier, and the follow-through rate increases for sure. You talked about
Agreed.
being skeptical. Yeah, I remember on our onboarding call, you were still a little bit, who's this guy? Will this really work? And I want the result, and I don't want to pay online and fail. What got you over and say, let me give this a shot?
I don't know. I can tell you that it was kind of like I just sort of bet on it, and I'm like, I've done more stupid things in my life. Let's see if this works. But it actually was good, and I think what might have been better is if you could have clearly articulated, hey, this is not going to be easy. This is going to be hard, but once you start doing it, it'll become easy. And and there's no magic bullet for weight loss. Like, this will take time. These are about habit changes. You can't guarantee anything. I think when I asked you who gets the most success, and you told me guys that do 2 things. They have a food scale and they do the steps every day. I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh, I got to get a food scale. That's annoying. And I have to walk every day. That's annoying too. But then I started doing it. I was like, you know what? If I can sit and watch Netflix for 4 hours in a night on a couch, I can take one of those hours and listen to a podcast and go for a walk. And it started out with 30 minutes. Okay. And then I was like, okay, I can walk for 30 minutes. And then I could walk for 40 minutes. And then I walked for an hour. And then, now I can walk an hour and a half, no problem, without even feeling it. And that's a fundamental habit change that I would have never done had I not decided to take on this. The other thing that I think is important is, the fact that it's expensive is important. Like, you should feel pain. If the price of your program is too cheap, people are going to do it and forget about it. But people respect, if the money is painful for someone, if it's a significant expenditure for them, well, then they're going to take it seriously and do it. And I think that's an important component as well. You know, like at this point I could probably figure it out on my own, but I kind of like the fact that there's a almost like a punitive financial cost to paying and not doing the work. If I pay and not do the work, then I'll feel like a fool. But if I pay and the work and it works out great, then awesome, you know. And it works out to be, I did the math. It works out based on what I've lost so far, just on weight loss. I think it's something like about $200 a pound is what it cost me to lose. All right, but that knowledge is something I can take for the rest of my life and use and quantify that and say, well, if the first 20 pounds cost me X, then the next 50 pounds might cost me Y. As long as I can keep these best practices going, you know. So
It's a
I
good
think
way
it's a
to put
great
it.
program for anyone that wants to be serious about taking control of their health. And frankly, I don't know anyone. I wish I would have. I know this sounds cliche to say, but I wish I would have started 10, 15 years ago, you know, because it would have made a big difference in my life.
Well, you started now better than if you started 10 years later at 57, right?
Right,
Tell me,
exactly.
yeah, tell me or tell everyone listening a little bit more about the results you've gotten in your first 90 days, weight loss wise, how you feel, strength. Yeah, just anything you want to share here.
I feel, well, I've lost about 25 pounds, depending on when I weigh myself at what I've eaten for dinner the night before. But I've also feel like I've gained easily, I don't know, 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. I mean, like there's a whole giant jar of whey protein that I'm almost done with after 3 months. And, you know, just knowing that I've ingested that and all the core power milkshakes plus the protein bars. I mean, I've got to, and plus all the work I've done in the gym, which I'm now lifting ridiculous amounts of weight, which I never thought I would ever do. You know, I never used to go up to the third floor of my gym where the dudes lift weights. I'd always stay in the pool and swim. I thought those guys were like meatheads. But now I'm up there, you know, I feel like one of the guys up there, and I'm lifting heavy weights, which is pretty crazy. Free weights, you know, and I'm getting it done. And I know I've put in the work, and I probably added another, I would say easily 5 to 10 pounds of muscle. What do you think? I don't know. It's hard to say. I can feel it on me, but I have no way to really quantify that other than the caliper, which we've purchased, and hopefully that you'll show me how to use.
Yeah, you can add 1 to 2 pounds a month. And since you've been swimming before and you've got a good muscle memory and your protein intake is high, so we could go with the upper end. 10 is like a stretch, but yeah, 5 to 6 is realistic. And also is kind of correlated with your weight loss. We have 25 pounds, about 5 to 6 muscles. So that makes it like a 30-pound drop net fat loss. And that's where I see it as well. Yeah, especially in your chest, it's gotten pretty muscular, but also other areas of your body. I think you also mentioned your abs, right? That you could feel those.
Right. Yeah, I can feel abs that I haven't felt in years. I'll tell you another funny story. I'm bad at laundry. So I have these like very expensive Lacoste shirts and these designer like polo shirts. I'm not really wearing one right now, but I put them in the dryer, you know, and I shouldn't, because I just throw my laundry in the dryer. And every month or so, you buy these shirts and then they shrink, and I have to throw them out. But I don't want to throw them out, so I've kept them in my closet. And they didn't fit me before, but now they all fit me again, which is pretty cool. So you've saved me money. I've been able to salvage shirts that I thought were lost forever.
That's good. Normally people tell me they have to spend even more money to buy a new wardrobe. Right. So in your case, it was the reverse.
Exactly. Exactly.
What I'm really curious, what about using the kinetic method was maybe an unexpected surprise that you got?
It's easier than you think. Once you get in the swing of things, you recognize what a good meal looks like and what a good meal doesn't look like. You gravitate towards the meals that are part of the program, and you do those. The thing that surprises me is how little I want to have junk food. I'm not interested in any, I don't drive by. I used to drive by like a Starbucks or a McDonald's in the afternoon and want to get an ice cream cone. I have zero interest in doing that. And so that's been a key change and something I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. I'd rather have a protein bar than an ice cream cone, which is something I never thought I would say, but it's true.
That's really good. Like a lot of people think like they can't have, and I'm just taking notes here because of that. I think that was really good what you just shared. Aside from all the other good stuff that you shared, but this really stood out to me. So what I was saying was that a lot of people think when they lose weight and they get in shape, they can't have those foods anymore. And that's not true. You can have them as long you know it, as long as you understand how they fit into the system. But in your case, it's like,
Right.
hey, it's not worth it. It's like, I can have something else. And it's not just the amount of calories or the food itself, it's how I feel, right, after eating it and how
Right.
I gravitate to that. And I think that's a really powerful change long term, where it's not that you're restricting yourself or depriving yourself, but really what you're saying is, hey, I've shifted my internal response and I'm gravitating towards some other stuff.
That's true. And then I can tell you something else, not to get too personal or gross, but I used to have a very irritable bowel syndrome. And I don't have that at all anymore. I'm far more regular. My body's responding well. I think especially to the probiotics that I'm taking now, which you recommended. And I didn't find exactly the brand you wanted because they weren't available, but I found something similar. So that's that alone is a blessing. You know?
Oh yeah. If your gut health is messed up, then you can have abs, but you're bloated, you're tired, you've got brain fog. Life is not so fun.
This is true. Yeah, that's true.
I
recommend the program highly, but I would only recommend the program to people that want to get serious about it and are willing to take it on. Like if you're just going to do this half-assed, don't do it. You won't, it'll be like everything else you did half-assed. You have to full-ass this program.
I agree. It's not for everyone. There's no one foot in, one foot out. It's both foot in, hands in, head in, and that's it. I got one last question for you. I know you have to jump and continue to hustle and make things work business-wise here.
Right.
But would you say, if you look back, would you say you would have figured this out on your own? And are you glad you got the help?
Honestly, no, I probably would not have figured this out on my own. For years, I have had a doctor that told me I should go to a nutritionist. I didn't want to because I figured I knew enough about nutrition. But, I probably would not have figured this out on my own. Definitely not. And it would have taken me years of trial and error. I mean, I've had things that have worked over the years, but this feels far more sustainable and something I could do for the rest of my life. And even if I slip up for a month or two, I'll be able to come back to it because I know I'll have the tools in my toolbox to make it work. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Wonderful. Rich, thank you so much for doing this, taking the time today, stopping by while you're driving, and yeah, sharing with everyone your success on this journey, and yeah, inspiring others to get back in shape and take good care of themselves as you're doing.
Thank you, Mauro. I owe you a thanks more than anyone. So appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, good to have you on.